Love isn't always the beautiful, picturesque fairy tale we're sold in movies and storybooks. Behind every seemingly perfect romance, behind every declaration of happily ever after, there are darker, more complicated truths that most people desperately want to ignore. It's this ignorance, this refusal to look at the shadows, that can lead to profound heartbreak and emotional devastation. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and reveal 5 dark truths about love. These are the realities that, if you continue to disregard them, have the power to completely and utterly destroy you. The first and perhaps most difficult truth to accept is that love, by itself, is never enough to sustain a relationship. No matter how deep your feelings run, no matter how intense the initial passion, love alone cannot hold two people together through the trials of life. We are often led to believe that a powerful emotional connection is the ultimate glue, the one force that can conquer all obstacles. But this is a dangerous fantasy. A relationship built solely on the foundation of feeling is like a house built on sand. Without the sturdy pillars of mutual respect, unwavering trust, and a conscious daily commitment, that foundation will inevitably erode. People often cling to the memory of that first spark, thinking the initial passion will somehow magically save them when things get tough. It won't. When respect falters, when trust is broken, when commitment is not a shared priority, love suffocates and dies a slow, painful death. It becomes a ghost, a memory of something that once was, but it loses its power to bind you together in a healthy, meaningful way. The second dark truth is that love has a blinding effect. It makes you willingly ignore red flags that are screaming for your attention. When you're swept up in the intoxicating rush of affection, your judgment becomes clouded. You start to make excuses for behavior you would never tolerate from anyone else. The lies, which started small, are brushed aside as misunderstandings. The clear signs of disrespect are reframed as just a bad day or stress. You might even begin to mistake controlling, obsessive behavior for intense affection and deep caring. Your friends might see it, your family might warn you, but you're inside the bubble, convinced that your love is different, that you can change them, or that these issues are just minor bumps in the road. The danger here is that each red flag you ignore is a small chip away at your self-worth and your perception of reality. By the time you finally wake up from this self-imposed illusion, the damage is often catastrophic. You find yourself emotionally broken, mentally drained, and utterly lost, wondering how you allowed yourself to stray so far from the person you once were. You've given so much, excused so much, that you're left as a hollowed-out version of yourself. This leads us to the third grim reality. Love is not always a healing force. In fact, it can be sharpened into a weapon and used against you with devastating precision. In toxic dynamics, the word love is often used as a cloak for manipulation, a justification for control, and a fuel for destructive jealousy. It becomes a tool to make you feel guilty, to isolate you from your support system, and to keep you compliant. Phrases like, "If you really loved me, you would," or "I am only doing this because I love you so much," are classic examples of love being weaponized. It's a poison disguised as medicine. You are made to believe that their controlling actions are a sign of their profound love and fear of losing you, when in reality, it's about power and ownership. If you allow this distortion to take root, love transforms from something that should nurture you into a venom that slowly erodes your autonomy and spirit. It traps you in a cycle of emotional abuse, where the very concept you long for, love, is the source of your greatest pain. The fourth dark truth is one that many people fight against, but it remains an unchangeable fact of human emotion. Feelings fade. That all-consuming fire, that intense, can't eat, can't sleep passion that characterizes the beginning of a romance. It is not sustainable. It is a temporary chemical reaction, a neurological fireworks display that, by its very nature, must eventually dim. This doesn't mean love disappears, but it does mean it must evolve. The harsh truth is that if your entire relationship is built exclusively on the shifting sands of emotion and the exhilarating high of passion, it is doomed to fail. When the initial blaze dies down to a gentle ember, as it always does, you'll be left with nothing but the cold ashes of a connection that had no real substance. A lasting bond requires more than just feeling. It requires a partnership, shared values, and a commitment to navigate the quiet, ordinary moments of life together, not just the dramatic, passionate ones. When the passion is the only thing holding you together, its inevitable fading will signify the death of the bond itself. Finally, The fifth and most self-destructive dark truth: love can make you lose yourself completely. When you become so infatuated or desperate to keep someone that you begin to sacrifice your core identity. Love doesn't make you whole, it fractures you. This happens when you abandon your hobbies, your friends, your dreams, and your values just to align with your partner's world. You start to mirror their opinions, adopt their interests as your own, and suppress the parts of yourself that you fear they won't approve of. You become a chameleon, changing your colors to please them, all in the name of love. But this isn't love, it's self-erasure. Real, healthy love should never demand that you erase who you are. It should celebrate your individuality and create a safe space for you to grow even more into yourself, not shrink into someone else's shadow. When you lose your identity to a relationship, the eventual breakup isn't just a heartbreak, it's an existential crisis. You're left not only with the pain of the loss, but also with the terrifying task of trying to find the person you used to be. These are the 5 dark truths about love. They are painful, they are uncomfortable, but they are profoundly real. Understanding them isn't about becoming cynical or closing yourself off from intimacy. It is about arming yourself with the wisdom to protect your heart from the kind of toxic love that can leave you shattered. It's about learning to navigate relationships with your eyes wide open. Do you want to just fall in love in a way that implies a loss of control and a descent into blindness? Instead, make the conscious choice to rise in love with awareness, self-respect, and strength. Subscribe for more truths that no one else is willing to tell you.